Hey guys, it's Yvette and welcome back to my weight journey. I am so happy to be able to share my first milestone video with you, my first 25 pounds lost. Today we're going to be looking at that Naked Scale app and looking at the images after hitting this first milestone and comparing those images with the first ones to see what kind of progress has been made. So keep watching. So it's been about 3.5 weeks since I posted my first video, but it's actually been 20 weeks since I recorded it because I recorded that first video March 7th, and that's when I started this weight journey. And we are now in the last week of July. Here's a current People magazine. So it's been about 20 weeks since I started this journey. So it's taken me about 20 weeks to lose the first 25 pounds. Now, I thought by now I would have lost a lot more weight, or that I would have posted this first kind of follow-up video a lot sooner. But I did not plan on a global pandemic. I'm sure you didn't either. And I've just been trying to figure things out, given that circumstance. And so, do I consider it a win or a loss that it's taken so long? I think the net result, the fact that I lost weight instead of having gained weight during this entire time, I'm going to put that in the win column because that's part of the lessons learned. And by the way, I'm going to be recording a separate video just on what I've learned so far, but in terms of lessons learned, that's kind of one of the first things I've learned is just celebrate your victories wherever you can find them, especially these days. So we'll talk about that in another video, but right now we're going to be talking about that Naked Scale and look at those images. I'm going to put some stats up on the screen so you can kind of see just quickly where I started, where I am now with regard to weight and things like fat percentage, just to give you a high level idea. But before we get into those images, if you're interested in joining me on my weight journey and learning more about what I'm doing, make sure to hit that subscribe button and also give the video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this content. Okay, now let's look at those images. Okay, let's open up the Naked app and take our first look. There it is. There is our new scan for the first milestone, 25 pounds lost. So as you can see at the top of the screen, this scan is from July 28th, 2020, and I will give it a spin so you can see the new image from all different angles. Although I will tell you that this is much more interesting when you start looking at the comparison between the new image and the first image, our starting point. So we're going to look at that in a second, but I just kind of wanted to give you a first look at the overall image. So that's the new one. Looking at the stats, the new body fat is 51.6, fat mass 103.1, lean mass 96.7, and weight 199.7. So as I did before, if we compare the Naked to the Renpho, here's the image on the Renpho. The weight is 200, so I mean that's pretty close, 199.7 and 200. But again, you can see on the left the Naked scale shows 51.6 body fat. The Renpho is showing 45.5. It's a percentage difference of about 6%. It's been consistent that way, and I'm still not sure why, and I don't know which one I'd kind of use going forward. I'd prefer to use the one that's lower body fat. I think when I lose more of the weight, I think it might be, hopefully it will become more apparent when I look at the pictures themselves of, do I really look, 6%, does it look like I have 6% more fat mass on me than not? I don't know if I'll be able to, kind of tell that from the naked eye, but, we'll see. But just taking a quick look at the Renpho data, right in the middle, you can see the first scan from March 7th. The weight loss is 25.4 on the Renpho scale app. BMI loss, that's the body mass index, is 4.5. And then the body fat loss is about rounding it up to 7. So I'll just show you the data real quick so you can take a look at the screen in case you're curious about any of these points. I'm not expecting miracles because, some of these numbers are still red, which means they're in the high range. For example, visceral fat is still excessive. BMI, I'm still definitely in that obese category because if you weigh, I'm 5'2.5", so yeah, I'm 200 pounds. I'm still definitely obese. So I'm not expecting miracles there. But what I'm loving is that the trend is going down. The numbers are going down. The weight is going down. BMI is going down. Body fat's going down. And that's what we want to see. So there is one thing that disturbs me, and that is at the bottom of the screen, if you remember from the first video, the metabolic age is still 52. And I thought for sure it would go down a little bit, but it hasn't. So definitely still going to work on it because, I'm still in that obese category. So that's probably what they're, primarily reading from. But I will bring that age down. So that's just a quick look at the Renpho scale data. Let's jump back to the naked scale and start looking at the comparison. And this is, I think, where you can have the most fun looking at the two different images. So I'm going to give those a spin so you can kind of slowly start seeing the differences. And I think that the side angle, the two side angles are where it's most apparent, where kind of the most significant changes have taken place. And I don't know about you, the biggest change I see right now is the waist and the stomach. So looking at it from this back angle, it's subtle. It doesn't jump out at me because, it's 25 pounds and I still have so much more to go, but I am seeing the waist is looking more narrow. So I'm definitely seeing that. And I think that kind of the back end area is also looking smaller in general, as are the arms a little bit. But I think the side angle is probably the most effective at really being able to kind of show the difference. So the side angle for me is really telling. But okay, let's look at it from the front once again, and let's start looking at this data. So on the left, we have obviously the first image that we took in March. The right is the current one from July of 2020. The first row of data, you can see on the left, the original body fat was 59.5. On the right, it was 51.6. And in the middle, it tells you what type of data you're looking at and whether it's gone down or up. So the little blue arrow indicates that it's gone down. And right in the middle, it says a negative 7.9%. So it's actually calculating the difference for you, which is pretty convenient. So the next three rows of data, fat mass, lean mass, and weight. So actually, let's start with weight. I went down 25.6 pounds, but looking at the fat mass, it actually shows that I've lost 31 pounds of fat, and lean mass, I've gained 5.5 pounds of lean mass. So that's all great because obviously you want to have more lean mass on your body than fat. So great trends there. And now let's start taking a look at some of the measurements. So the first is the waist to hip ratio. And I think we previously touched on this in the first video, but that's a number that you want to see go down. Ideally, you should be somewhere between 0.8. In reality, maybe 0.75 is even better. So the fact that it's a downward trend. It went from 0.87 to 0.82 is fantastic. Now starting to look at some of the measurements, you can see those red bars across the shoulders there. That's where they're taking that measurement for the shoulders, and we can kind of start looking at the comparison. The shoulders seem to have gone down by 1 inch. I'll take it. Then we have the left arm and right arm. What's funny here is that it shows left arm was down by about 0.8 inches. I'll call that 1 inch. But if I look on the screen, it feels like it went down a little bit more than that. But, I'm not sure, but it looks a little bit smaller, but maybe it is just 1 inch. And then right arm, it shows not too much of a change. It shows 0.1 inches. Again, I show it a little bit smaller, but maybe it's also the way I positioned my arms for this scan. I'm not too sure. So those are the new arm measurements. Now let's look at chest. So there's chest from the front, and then there's chest from the back. So they're definitely taking your back into consideration. And then waist. So waist, there was a loss of 5.6 inches. Definitely the most significant loss in terms of measurements out of all of the other losses. So 5.6 inches, I think it's much more evident, kind of especially from the back, where it definitely starts to look smaller. And then same thing with the stomach loss, 3.6 inches.
And there I definitely can see that difference there. Moving on to the hips, the loss was 3.7 inches, and you can see where that measurement is taken. And it's kind of, it's not necessarily the widest part of your thigh there, but it's really right above that. And then moving on to the upper thighs and lower thighs, it looks like, it's funny because as your body parts kind of are smaller and smaller, your thighs, you're going to lose more on your upper thighs than your lower thighs, and then, you know, more on your lower thighs than your calves, obviously, because the body parts just start going down. But looks like I lost about 1.5 inches on one thigh, 2 inches on the other thigh. Hey, as long as it's going down, I'll take it. And then finally, with the lower thighs, about roughly 1.5 inches on both of the lower thighs. And then the last measurements are the calves. And it's funny because, oh, excuse me, even though the calves are a little bit more subtle to see, I can actually see the difference, and I can actually see a little bit more space in between the legs, especially in between the calves. There's slightly a little more space there that you can see. I'm definitely not going to get thigh gap anytime soon. I'm not going to have to worry about that at least not in the near term. But it's nice to see some kind of space there in between the calves. So that's it, guys. That is pretty much what our new naked scale image looks like. Leave me some comments below and let me know as I kind of go through these for the next milestone, if there's anything in particular you want me to take a look at or focus on a little bit more, if you have any curiosity about anything.
So there you have it, guys, the results from the naked scale after hitting my first milestone, 25 pounds lost. Now, if you want to see how I started this journey, I will link both above and below my first video, which talks a little bit more about background, how I'm starting, my age, my height, if you're interested in learning more about that. Now, going forward, my next milestone video will be at 185 pounds. And then from then on, I'll probably post maybe after every 10-pound weight loss, just to have some cadence. But as I mentioned, if you're interested in joining me on this journey, make sure to hit the subscribe button and also leave a comment below. Let me know how you're doing on your own weight journey. I wish you all success. Thank you for watching.